I was scrolling on Instagram when I saw this post that said, "The corals are gone forever." And I was just like, there's no way that can be true. It just feels like a crazy thing to claim. So today, join me in finding out what this means. Is it true? How will it affect you? And what can we do to stop it? Where does this information come from? Well, the post I saw was posted by Field Notes by Mike, Eco-Socialist, Earthly Education, and Boycott Fossil Fuels. But the post is inspired by the Global Tipping Point reports from 2025. The report is compiled by an international community of researchers and practitioners. It gives both positive and negative updates on climate change and sustainability issues. Before we start, I'm Sabine Marco. I make marine biology YouTube videos, and if you enjoyed the video, you can subscribe, comment, let me know if you have any questions, and then use that new feature on mobile. It really helps out small channels like me a lot. And as a second semester senior, I really need to pay for college, so help me do that. One of the big findings they had this year was about corals. They spent a lot of time focusing on it, and what they reported was that coral reefs are significantly past their tipping point. They cited the tipping point as being when the global average temperature got 1.2 degrees Celsius higher than the average temperature pre-industrialization. In 2025, we surpassed this and reached a global average temperature of 1.4 degrees Celsius higher than pre-industrial levels. This has caused mass bleaching events in 80% of the world's coral reefs. They claim that if temperatures reach 1.5 degrees higher than pre-industrial levels, which they predict will happen in the next 10 years, it will cause the loss of 70 to 90% of the world's corals. They note that this is just the figure given by the largest scientific consensus, and that this scientific debate is ongoing and the number is not final. Regardless, bleaching events have been happening once every 2 years in many coral reefs. Yet it's estimated corals can only recover from bleaching events if they happen less than 2 times per decade. This means that corals will not be able to recover from these bleaching events, which are known to be made worse by climate change. This will lead to the destructions of reefs, destroying their ecosystems, and for reefs that do survive, it's known that bleaching events will greatly decrease their biodiversity because of the relationships the animals in them have with the reefs. This decreased biodiversity will make it harder for these ecosystems to continue to adapt, as they will have a smaller genetic pool to pull from. And as coral reefs account for a large amount of the biodiversity in the world, we'd be losing a lot of really cool species, and a lot of species would be losing important habitat. This includes some of our favorite animals from Nemo, like green sea turtles, clownfish, blue tangs, and stingrays. It would also harm some cool niche creatures that I think deserve a little more attention, like zebra morays, mandarin fish, and large whipped gobies. If you want to see more in-depth videos on some of those creatures, I will be making videos on them, so you can subscribe. So the original post's claim might be a little hyperbolic, but coral reefs are facing a significant threat, and it looks like we may be past the point where we can actually do stuff. So what will happen if the coral reefs actually disappear? Beyond what I previously said about the loss of biodiversity, which is a really big impact and would suck, we would also lose a lot of economic benefits for humans. According to NOAA, the US would lose out on approximately $3.4 billion tied to coral reef related services. Additionally, we would face up to $1 billion of property damage due to coral reefs being a key part of protecting our coastlines, since they can absorb up to 95% of a wave's impact. This effect is going to hurt a lot of people, especially people who are underinsured. The problem is, as sea levels rise and our coastlines become less protected by coral reefs, insurance prices will go up because there is more risk for the insurance companies. This will lead to the people who need insurance the most being underinsured. UPenn's Urban Institute Metropolitan Housing and Communities Policy Center recognizes that current climate and disaster policy are set up to fail those who need them most. Currently, we already have a problem with inequalities being very present in these policies. Additionally, there has been major racial and ethnic discrimination that has taken place in the US climate disaster responses. However, I do not want you to get the wrong message here. It is not hopeless, and there is absolutely action we can take, but we need to take it now. We can pass climate policy to curb the causes of climate change, and we can better plan for disasters in order to mitigate their effects. We also need to continue doing research on how corals react to climate change. Recently, there's been a really promising finding that some corals, specifically in the Indo-Pacific, are more resilient than those in the Atlantic. I linked to the study in the description, but this means that we could help corals become more resilient and be able to survive warmer temperatures. One of the things the GTP really emphasizes is that we need to lower temperatures back to at least 1.2 degrees higher than pre-industrialization, but ideally below 1 degree above pre-industrial temperatures. They advocate that carbon removal is necessary in order for us to achieve this. If you want to learn more about carbon sinks and one of the cutting edge technologies in carbon removal, MOFs, you can check out the video that's on screen now. I really appreciate you watching. Subscribe for more marine biology news, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions and hype the video. How bad can I be?